up to the laws of Kuf Samech, what water is kasher for Netilat Yadayim and what's not. So, we said last time, water that changed its color, whether because of something else or by itself, is pasul. It's not kasher for Netilat Yadayim. What about if you have water that was uncovered? Mayim megulim. So I know by Bukharians, a lot of them, they're very strict not to drink water that was left uncovered. Even though technically, according to the law, this halacha has to do with snakes and poison. And we don't live amongst snakes that might inject venom into our water. That's maybe by more of in uninhabited areas, more rural areas like a desert. If we lived in a settlement next to the desert, we're in a very big city, so it's very hard to say that they will find poisonous snakes amongst us. So therefore, there's room to be lenient. But a lot of people are machmir today. I see that they're always machmir, and even if there is no snakes around. And according to this, then it should be machmir not to leave the water for Netilat Yadayim also uncovered, because if you wouldn't be able to drink it, so then it's also a problem of maybe you're washing hands with it. So therefore, it's good to be machmir to cover the Netilat Yadayim. They even sell Netilat Yadayim caps for the kli that has the water. Also, in case it gets bumped and doesn't spill over, so they sell covers for it. Let's say you have a person who keeps his Netilat Yadayim cup with water in the bathroom. Food that you bring into the bathroom, our minhag is not to eat that food, and not to drink food, or not to bring food into the bathroom. The bathroom is a makom tameh, is an impure place, and just like you don't eat food without washing hands in the morning, you don't touch food that with tameh hands, so too you don't bring food into a tameh place, like the bathroom. So therefore, he says it's good to be machmir, not to leave the water for the Netilat Yadayim cup in the bathroom, because it gets too mal like that. Okay, but in a place where you don't have any water and you don't have an ability to wash hands, but only the bathroom. So he said technically you have what to rely on to wash in the bathroom today, because they want to say our bathrooms is different than the bathroom back in the day. Back in the day, the waste would sit in that hole that they used to use as the bathroom. Today, our plumbing allows it for the waste to go away. So maybe our rooms do not keep the waste there, so therefore it doesn't have a status of a makom tameh. But that's only in a case where you have nowhere else to wash. And also, a lot of people, they put the bowl with the one Netilat next to them, and they sleep, or a lot of them, they put it under their bed. Storing food under the bed, we said also, is not a proper thing to do. The food that under the bed is when a person is sleeping, is 1/60th dead. So therefore, just like a dead body, we don't put it has tuma, and we don't put food next to him. Same thing with a person when he's sleeping. It's good to be machmir not to put food under his bed. In a place where there's going to be a big loss, let's say he stored fancy whiskeys under his bed, there's what to rely on to be lenient, because there's a big loss. But preferably, a person shouldn't put food in there in general. But let's say a guy stored the water for Netilat Yadayim. Also, it's preferable not to store it under the bed that he's sleeping on top of, because then the water also gets to status of tumah, and it will not be preferable to use such a water to wash the hands. Okay? This is all we're talking again. This is by the laws of Netilat Yadayim for bread. And obviously these laws, we try to be machmir for these laws, and all the laws of Netilat Yadayim by morning, or by after the bathroom, or what it may have you. But this is mainly by the laws of washing Netilat Yadayim for before eating bread. Bet, asaba me melecha. Let's say a person used water for some purpose. He used it for some labor, and then he wants to reuse the water for Netilat Yadayim. Is it allowed? So it says Shulchan Aruch, let's say he used it for some labor, or let's say bread used to get hard, right? And they needed to eat the bread and they want to make it soft, so they used to soak it in water. So let's say I use this water to soak the bread. What about now? Can I use it to Netilat Yadayim? אפילו נתכוון לשלוט בכלי זה, נפל לשני, פסולים. It's pasul. Since they use them already for something else, it's considered like wastewater. And wastewater is not kasher for the netilah. אם הדיח בהם כלים פסולים, Let's say you wash dishes inside this water, it's dishwater. Let's say a person, buy bagels. When you gotta go and boil them, and then you bake them. Or let's say there's something that you need to bake, and then you put it in the water. Once you use this water for something else, it's also pasul. אבל אם טבל ידיו במים בטח בבני גלוסקין, או שחפן מהם בחפניו, מים נשארים לא נעשה בהם מלאכה, פיך כשרים. But what if I took some water and just to make the bread wet? I took some of the water in the bucket and I scooped some water to do something with it. It's not that I put the item inside the water. I scooped some water out to sprinkle on top of the bread, on top of the food. So since I didn't do melacha with this water, I just took some water out to use something else. The rest of the water stays kasher.
If your hand touches that water, it also loses the status?
No, not necessarily, no. Okay, let's say people use the water for the baby bottle, right? They take the nitlat dime cup, fill it with hot water, and put the baby bottle inside to heat up the baby bottle. Also, that'll be considered then melacha with the water, and the water not be kasher for nitlat dime afterwards. Okay. Let's do the next save. Gimel. מים שלפני הנפח, אף על פי שלא נשתנו מהריהם פסולים, פני שידוע שנעשה בהם מלאכה. So if you see a baker and you see water standing next to him, what do you assume? You assume he probably used it for some labor. So therefore I can't use that water for an nitlat yadayim. דהיינו שקיבה בהם ברזל, or a glass blower, right? Glass blower, he always dips the glass in the water to quench it, to make it like stay hard. So since most likely he used this water for melacha, so therefore you cannot use it for nitlat yadayim. Or a barber, a lot of times they wash their hands or from the hair. If you see that the water of the color changed, then you know for sure that he used it, and you cannot use it afterwards for nitlat yadayim. Let's say my dog drank from my nitlat yadayim cup that I saved for washing the hands. So he says, Shulchan Aruch, מים ששתו מהם תרנגונים, או לקלק בהם כלב, water that chickens drink from, or a dog slurped water, יש מי שפוסל, ואין מדבריו נראים. Some say it's pasul, the water, but Shulchan Aruch doesn't agree to that opinion. אלו ואלו, בין שאר בהמה חיה ועוף, יש להכשיר. You can say it's kasher, and it's not considered the water's pasul. Why?
When the dog drinks some water from the mouth, it goes back. Same thing with the chicken.
Right. Still, nonetheless, though, since it's not considered disgusting because I didn't do a job with it, right? I didn't do labor with it, so therefore it's not pasul. It's not considered disgusting and make it not pasul for an
But
nitlat yadayim.
infection from that water can go on your hands too.
That's true, but it's not halachically considered disrespectful to the mitzvah.
Let's say you want to pray. For the prayer, no? You can wash.
Yeah. No, but even Shulchan Aruch wants to say even for washing hands for the bread, which is the most strict.
Higher, no level.
I think it's the same actually, but for definitely for nitlat yadayim for bread, he says it counts. Okay, אין מלאכה פוסלת במים שאובים, בין שבכלי בין שבקרקע, אבל לא מקווה או מעיין בעודם מחוברים. When does water get pasul? Only when it's standing water in a bucket that you pulled water out. But if it's a mikveh or a spring, so those do not get pasul for nitlat yadayim, right? So let's say he did melacha with this water of the ma'ayan or the mikveh, that doesn't make it pasul. It's only when it's sitting water in a bucket that you drew it out and you did something with it, now it becomes pasul. What about hot water? Can I use very hot water for nitlat yadayim? Vav, chamei ha'ur notlim mehem liyadayim, afilu en chamin siyad soledet bahen. You're allowed to use hot spring water for nitlat yadayim, even if it's burning hot, scalding hot, kasher.
Are you going to do it?
What?
Realistically.
No, I'm talking about, let's say a guy, he likes hot water. He likes very hot. So it's going to be burning him a little bit, but he likes the feeling. He likes the feeling of very hot water. The question is, that's not comfortable for most people. So maybe it should be pasul for nitlat yadayim. No, it's kasher. You can still make a bracha on such on such a netilat yadayim. Chamet Tveria, cholet bil meim yadayim. Let's say you go to the hot springs at Tveria, you dip your hands over there in the hot springs, then it's kasher as well. Aval litol mehem b'kli lo. But if you want to take water from it with to wash your hands, to do netilat yadayim, he says that doesn't work. It has to be you dip your hands in the water. ואם המשיך אותם בארץ דרך חריץ, חוץ מקומם, הפסיקה מהמעיין עובר חם, אם יש בהם שיעור מקווה מדמים ידיים, ואם בהם שיעור מקווה לא. Okay, so if it has a shiur mikveh, when you go and you make a charitz, let's say you want to make a connection, plow a little bit of the ground in order to make a connection to this Chamet Tveria, it has the shiur of mikveh. Okay, good. What's the reason that you can't put the water in the kli? Is because they're marim. They're very bitter. The water of the Chamet Tveria are very bitter, and even a dog can't drink it. But if you find hot springs that the water is drinkable, then you're even allowed to scoop it. You'll be able to scoop it with a kli and to wash your hands with that. Let's say salt water. Let's say you're in the ocean. You want to take some water from the ocean and wash your hands with it from the ocean. So over there, mayim meluchim, salty water, usruchim, very putrid water, which means that's water that is not drinkable at Dead Sea. Let's say you go Dead Sea, right? That water is not drinkable. Even regular salt water is not drinkable. So right, a dog wouldn't drink it. Psulim netilat yadayim, pasul for netilat yadayim, even though it's kasher for mikveh. Even if it's kasher for mikveh, it's not going to be kasher for netilat yadayim, says it's not drinkable. Some places you go, the water is drinkable, but then when you walk inside, because when you walk, the dirt from the floor guts up. It goes up and makes the water muddy and murky. Over there, if a dog would be able to drink, it's kasher, and if not, then it's pasul. That's why they make mikvahs. You have to make a mikvah with something at the bottom, so that way there's no dirt that comes up. Because if the dirt comes up, then it makes it that the mikvah might be pasul, because the color changes. So that's why you have to make sure it's clean and the bottom is lined with something, so it doesn't get dirt to come up.
What about if it's floor from rubber, like in Israel, swimming pool, the whole rubber?
Yes. Swimming pool, no. Swimming pool has to be connected to rainwater. It cannot be a mikveh for a swimming pool. Okay, one more halacha. Okay. Where is this? Okay, water that somebody touched, that they didn't wash their hands for themselves. Okay? So you have water sitting on the side, that's good water, and someone wants to wash their hands from this water, but somebody came and touched it, and that guy who touched it didn't wash his hands in the name. So what happens? מים שנגע בהם אדם שלא נטל ידיו, כשירים נטל ידיים סעודה. אבל מים שנגע בהם, מי שעדיין לא נטל ידיו שחרית, נפסלו לנטילה. Why? Because ruach ra shor alehem. So if the guy touched it but he didn't wash his hands for netilat yadayim for bread, doesn't make it pasul. But if he touched it, somebody who doesn't wash the yadayim even for the morning washing, so then the water becomes pasul. It gets ruach ra. Or let's say water that somebody touched and he didn't wash his hands when he left the bathroom, that's still kasher for netilat yadayim seudah. But if he goes and he washes his hands with this water, let's say he uses it to wash his hands like this, then he did melacha with it. So then once he did melacha with it, once he did a labor with it, so then it's pasul from netilat yadayim. But a person who touches water that you want to use for netilat yadayim doesn't make it that the water is pasul. Only when he didn't wash hands in the morning, netilat yadayim shachrit, he doesn't wash his hands. He's not a religious guy. He didn't wash his hands the whole day, and then he touches that water. That's the only case. You have a problem. Baruch Na'olam.